Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Carissa, and I am one of the public health directors working with Julianne at Mabuhay Health Center. Today, I will be giving another update on the COVID-19 pandemic. So today, I'll be focusing on the COVID-19 vaccine, specifically the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and also updating on the COVID-19 vaccine distribution. So in terms of what vaccines are currently approved, the vaccines that are authorized for emergency use are the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, and the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, which was just recently authorized. Just as a refresher for those who watched the January COVID-19 update, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are both mRNA vaccines. They require 2 shots. The Pfizer is 21 days apart and the Moderna is 28 days apart. And they are both over 94% effective at preventing COVID-19. And this data was assessed 7 days after the second dose for Pfizer and 14 days after the second dose for Moderna. And just recently, it was shown when they reanalyzed the data from the clinical trials, they found that both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines were around 92% effective at preventing COVID-19 starting just 2 weeks after the first dose, which is really great news. If you want to learn more about how mRNA vaccines work, the side effects, and all of that about the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, we have the video posted on YouTube in both English and Tagalog, and you can find it on our YouTube channel. So in terms of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, this is actually a single dose vaccine. And they found that it's 72% effective at preventing moderate to severe COVID-19. And they looked specifically at whether the people in the clinical trial had a positive COVID-19 test and at least one symptom. And they started counting COVID-19 cases 28 days after the vaccine injection. They found that it's 85% effective at preventing severe COVID-19. And most importantly, it was 100% effective at preventing hospitalizations and death. And so no one in the clinical trial was hospitalized or died because of COVID-19, which is really, really great and really important. So you may want to compare the different vaccines, and it may seem that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is less effective than the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, but it's important to note that these vaccines can't be directly compared to each other. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine, while it may seem like the efficiency or efficacy is lower, that the Johnson & Johnson trial took place at a different time of the pandemic than the Pfizer and Moderna trials. At the time of the Johnson & Johnson trial, the number of cases was higher, and also the COVID-19 variants had begun spreading in the US and in South Africa and Brazil. What's most important to note is that all 3 of the vaccines are 100% effective at preventing hospitalizations and death. And so the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is not the weaker vaccine. I want to emphasize that all 3 of the vaccines are great, and you should take whatever vaccine is available once you are eligible. So how does the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine work? It's actually pretty similar to the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines in that they both utilize the sequence of the spike protein. So the coronavirus pictured here uses this spike protein in red to enter our cells. The spike protein binds and allows the coronavirus to enter our cells. And so Like the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine also contains the instructions on how to make the spike protein. The instructions for the spike protein, instead of being delivered as mRNA, they're delivered to your cells using a common cold virus or an adenovirus. It's important to note that this virus is harmless. It was changed so that this virus cannot replicate inside your cells and it cannot cause illness. It's simply just a way to deliver the spike protein instructions to your cells. So this harmless virus enters our cells and gives our cells the instructions on how to make the spike protein. Our cells then make the spike protein and display it on the outside of our cells. Once the spike protein is displayed on the outside of our cells, our immune system recognizes that this spike protein is foreign and starts to build an attack against it. So our body starts building these antibodies and starts activating our white blood cells. And so the antibodies that our body starts to generate is able to bind to the spike protein. And if a real coronavirus happens to enter our body, these antibodies are able to bind to the spike protein so that and essentially it inactivates the coronavirus so that the coronavirus can no longer bind to or enter our cells. And also the white blood cells that were activated in response to the vaccine are able to kill any cells that happen to be infected. So basically, this vaccine is teaching your body how to recognize the spike protein. So in the case that the real coronavirus enters your body is already prepared to attack the virus. These antibodies will inactivate the virus and prevent it from entering your cells. And the T cells will recognize and kill any infected cells. So in summary, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is essentially delivering the instructions on how to make this spike protein into your cells using this inactivated harmless virus. The harmless virus delivers the spike protein instructions to your cell. Your cell makes the spike protein and displays it on the outside. And your immune system recognizes that this spike protein is foreign and starts to build an immune response against it, building up these antibodies and activating your white blood cells. Does anybody have any questions so far on how this vaccine works? It's very similar to the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine in that they're both teaching your body how to recognize the spike protein. Okay. I will also be answering questions at the end, so if more questions come up, just go ahead and put them in the comment section down below. So what are the side effects of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine? The most common side effects are sore arm, and other people experience headache, tiredness, muscle aches, nausea, and fever. But most of these side effects start within 1 to 3 days of receiving the vaccine, and the side effects only last about 1 to 2 days from when you start feeling symptoms. And so are these vaccines effective against the new coronavirus variants? In terms of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, we were able to see that it is effective against the South African variant. So the Johnson & Johnson had a clinical trial in South Africa. And during the clinical trial, the South African variant was already widely spread, and 96.3% of the cases that they looked at were actually caused by this South African variant. They found that their vaccine was 64% effective against moderate to severe COVID-19, and around 82% effective against severe COVID-19. And again, no one during these clinical trials who received the vaccine had died from COVID-19. So it does look like the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is very effective against the South African variant. In terms of the UK variant, there is currently no clinical data about the effectiveness against that variant. For the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, we don't have any data right now on the efficacy against variants, but Moderna is testing a third dose of the existing vaccine. And they're also in the process of developing a booster shot that specifically is against the South African variant. Pfizer is also testing a third dose of the existing vaccine to see if it boosts our immune response even more. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. Again, I'll be answering questions also at the end, so you can put any questions down below. Okay. So I know a lot of us are eager to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Right now, we are vaccinating healthcare workers and long-term care residents. And we've also recently moved into phase 1B. So we're vaccinating people 65 and over, education and childcare workers, emergency services workers, and food and agriculture workers. In terms of who's next, starting March 15th, which is just in a couple of days, people 16 to 64 years old with certain health conditions and disabilities will be eligible for the vaccine. There is, as you can see, there's a long list of health conditions that would qualify you. Some more prevalent ones are cancer, if it's current with debilitated or immunocompromised state. Heart conditions such as heart failure, coronary artery disease, or cardiomyopathies, but not if you have high blood pressure, severe obesity, and type 2 diabetes. And once it is March 15th, you can also go onto myturn.ca.gov to see if your specific health condition qualifies you for the vaccine. So San Francisco has opened up many vaccine sites for the general public in terms of who is eligible. It is healthcare workers 65 and older and other essential workers. The vaccines are free for those who live or work in San Francisco, and you do not need insurance to book an appointment. And recently, the city has started offering free transportation to and from your vaccine appointment. So you can ride Muni or paratransit for free. You just have to show your vaccine card or proof of your appointment. And you can also just show them an email confirmation or photo of your vaccine card. So I will be highlighting some of the vaccine sites today, but I won't be highlighting all of them. So if you want to see a comprehensive list, you can head over to sf.gov/vaccine-sites to see all the vaccine sites in San Francisco. And you can and this is what the site looks like. So you can see and filter out the sites that are just for the general public. But there are also a lot of additional sites for those of you who are part of the San Francisco Health Network. And you can also filter by eligibility requirements. So one of the vaccine sites that I want to highlight today is the Moscone Center South in the South of Market District. It's open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can book an appointment at myturn.ca.gov, or you can call this number If there's no availability, go ahead and keep checking. The time slots open 3 days in advance. But when I had checked the other day, there were a lot of appointments available still. Another site is at San Francisco State University. It is at the Mashouf Wellness Center inside MAC Gym. And this is open on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you can schedule an appointment online at this link. And all of these links will be available. We have a little website that has all the links to all of these vaccine sites that I'll go over later. Another vaccine site is the City College of SF, and you can schedule an appointment online at this site, and new appointments are posted regularly. This site is actually a drive-through and walk-through site. A new site recently is the SF Market in the Bayview, and this is a walk-through site. You can schedule an appointment online through My Health Online, which is through Sutter Health, or you can call this number. Even though the scheduling is through Sutter Health, you do not need to be a Sutter Health member to make an appointment. So if you are not a Sutter Health member, but you're interested in getting a vaccine at this site, you can sign up for My Health Online, which is the Sutter Health online portal. And also, if you don't have access to a computer, or if it's a little confusing to sign up for My Health Online, you can call this number here. And the phone line is open Mondays through Fridays from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also try to book a vaccine appointment with your healthcare provider. This is the instructions for Kaiser. They're currently vaccinating healthcare workers and people 65 and older. There's still a limited supply of vaccines, so they're not yet in phase 1B. For Sutter Health, they're vaccinating healthcare workers and people 65 and older, but right now they're currently not scheduling first dose appointments, but you can check the website regularly for updates. And then if you are a UCSF patient, they are vaccinating healthcare workers, people 65 and older, and workers in phase 1B. And you can schedule an appointment online at myturn.ca.gov. And they just recently switched over to using the MyTurn site. Another thing you can do is check your local pharmacies for appointments. This one is a little bit trickier because the vaccine supply is so low. So the appointments at these different pharmacies are very limited. But there some CVS locations, Rite Aid, Safeway, and Walgreens are have the COVID-19 vaccine appointments, and you can just you would have to schedule online at these different sites. If you want to schedule an appointment at Safeway, they are at mhealthappointments.com/COVID-19 or COVID APPT, but they also are recently on myturn.ca.gov. So that is a really useful tool. Okay, so I know that was a lot. These slides will be posted online, and this video will be available for your reference. But we also recently made a new video on how to sign up for a COVID-19 vaccine using MyTurn. And so this is posted on our YouTube page. The state is trying to shift over so that all of the vaccine appointments are going to be scheduled through MyTurn. And so this will be a really helpful tutorial. So like I mentioned before, the links to the COVID-19 vaccine signups, testing sites, and more are all on our link tree. It's basically just a website that has a bunch of links, and you can scan this QR code with your phone, and it'll direct you to our link tree, or you can just type in this address into your search bar. Another video that I wanted to highlight is how to sign up for COVID-19 testing in SF. So one of our volunteers, Sean and Jamie made a video on how to find COVID-19 testing sites in San Francisco. And this is in English, but there are Tagalog subtitles. Okay. And does anyone have any questions on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, vaccine distribution, or testing sites? I think we had a couple of questions from last month's COVID-19 update that we didn't get to address. So, sorry, okay. The first question is, I heard that it's bad to take Tylenol or Advil if you have side effects to the COVID-19 vaccine because it will dampen your immune response. Is that true? Or is it okay to take these over-the-counter meds to manage symptoms? So it is okay for you to take over-the-counter pain meds to manage symptoms. You just want to wait until you actually experience the symptoms until you take the painkillers. You do not want to take Advil or Tylenol in anticipation of your vaccine. You want to wait until you experience those symptoms, and then you can take those to treat your symptoms. It will not dampen your immune response. And the second question is, did the clinical trials for Pfizer or Moderna include asymptomatic cases? So the clinical trials for Pfizer and Moderna only looked at symptomatic cases. They did not do regular COVID-19 testing on the participants in the trial. So they only knew if a participant had a case of COVID-19 if the participant experienced symptoms and then got tested. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is also only looking at symptomatic cases of COVID-19. They're specifically looking at a positive COVID-19 test plus one symptom. So right now it's still unclear how these vaccines, how effective these vaccines are against asymptomatic COVID-19 cases. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, if you have any other questions that you think of later, you can go ahead and post it in the comment section down below, and we will reply and address any questions you have. Thank you.